if he like it and you like doing it, get the match, burn that dude. That man.
You can't.
Because at our wedding, my wife, you was late.
Listen. No, hold on. No, let's keep. I don't know.
Dating process, you know. So I know it's a lady. She ain't married, but her breath so bad, I almost called the cops one time. Together, you know, if she eating a salad, you try you. Well, a lot of times you eat salad and I don't.
Of course not. No. Of course not.
But even further than that, how do you want your kids? How would you enforce education on your kids? I'm not mad at a B. A B, whew, you doing good, but she get that A.
I like to encourage them to let them know. Look, if you were able to get a B, you can push for that A.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Wedded Wednesdays with David Wright and Lady G, and we got another great episode for y'all today. Thank y'all for always tuning in too, but we got an awesome episode today. How should you discipline your children? That's what we're talking about today. And you know, every family has different views on how we should discipline our children. Should you beat your kids? Did your wife grow up? How did your wife grow up in her household? How did your husband grow up in his household? And you know, different nationalities even. You know, some people grow up in a black household, or I'll say African American household, or Japanese, Asian household, or Caucasian household. Everybody got something different how they do their kids. So we got the question: how should you come together to discipline your children? And I say, beat them kids. That's just me, because that's how I grew up, and that's what worked for me. And if it worked for me, you know, I'm not saying beat them like my parents beat me. My parents were wrestlers. They were both 300 pounds. My father was 350 pounds, 6'3", and my mother was pretty strong and healthy, her own self. So, you know, the Bible even says, spare the child. What does the Bible say? Spare the rod, spoil the child. So, but we just can't do that just because of what we were used to. So you got to come. I don't know how my wife might have felt about that. How do you feel about that, sweetie?
It's not how I feel about it. My question is that always the solution? Beating your kids, is that the ultimate solution? A lot of times, I know when I was coming up, and disciplinary action was taken, of course, from my father, from my mom, or whatever the case may be. But at the same time as remembering those, the disciplinary actions that they decided that would be best, which is to grab a belt, which is to grab whatever they could grab to hit you with, whatever the case may be. I just remember the feeling, that I had after the fact, after the beating, after the spanking, after the hit. Yes, it hurt, but it hurts physically and emotionally, because at that time, especially when they're disciplining you you're coming up at a young age, and you don't quite know why they took that route to use a belt, or to use your hand, or to use a shoe, or to switch. We don't quite know why they decide to take the actions, that they decided, and the things that they decided to come at us with. For me personally, again, I'm speaking for myself, but I just remember how I felt after the fact. And in my household, the beating will take place, and about 2 hours later, it will be explained via my dad when he would do the disciplinary.
Please.
And always would come back and embrace and say, always to remind me that he loves me and why he had to discipline me at that time and that kind of way.
Well, your father was light-skinned and from Florida. My father was dark-skinned from Brooklyn.
That have to do with anything? The pigmentation of your skin has nothing to do with the way your parents decide to discipline you. Where are you coming from?
It does. My father was dark. He beat us, and he didn't come get no explanation talking about why he beat us. He beat us, and then he went to sleep.
Is it because possibly he didn't give an explanation? Is because maybe he was, disciplining you the way that he was disciplined? I think it all stems from down the line.
I know my father got beat. I know that.
Yeah, but again, you got, if his parents, if he experienced his parents coming back to explain and to still love on him after taking, disciplinary action against him, then maybe he would have passed that down to his children. So you see where I'm going with that?
I absolutely see, but
is it? I'm going to go back to my question. Is that the only solution?
I think, and everybody's house is different, but I think physical beating should be the last resort. It shouldn't be the first resort. It should be the last one.
Is it depending on what their action was?
It don't matter what their action was.
Because sometimes as the children are growing, and especially, I don't know about any of you out there, but we have teenagers in the house, and a lot of times they're growing up and their personalities are coming out, they're trying to find themselves, whatever the case may be, and they can be all over the place at times, and sometimes they think that they can, rise up at you. They can get a little crazy. They can do some crazy things. They can find themselves involved in some crazy situations. So sometimes in the midst, depending on where you are or where they are or what they have done, we don't know how we're going to react. Like some cases, I wanted to shake my daughter. And in some cases, that's what I did. I didn't have in my mind. I'm not grabbing a belt. I'm gonna get you. I'm just gonna, some things are different. Opposed to when they're coming up, we just grab a belt and we're beating them or whatever the case.
Well, you can't beat no teenager. It's some mothers that right now, their child is in their 20s and 30s, they'll still pop their child in the mouth right now.
I'm that mother, me.
If my mother was alive right now and I did something wrong, she'd hit me right in my head. Right now, I'm 42.
Absolutely.
So, when you reach a certain age, my mother I was 6 feet when I was 15, 16 years old. The belt didn't work at that time. Now, my father had to discipline me because what my mother was saying we got 5 boys, all of us 6 feet and up, except for Derek. He's a tall midget. But the rest of us, we all 6 feet and up, 200 strong pounds. So, a belt and a switch and an extension cord ain't gonna do nothing because I got a 14-year-old son right now.
Well, it did something for me.
Not at your age, at a grown age.
It did something to me
you
because
can't be 21 years old and somebody still got a belt to your butt.
What it did was it put fear in me. And I don't think that our parents, back when we were coming up,
that's what it did to me too.
That they understood what it was actually doing. I feel like all they understood was that they had to take disciplinary action in regards to what our actions was. That's all they knew. They had to do what they needed to do. But at the end of it, I don't think they realized that they actually placed fear in me for them. And is that?
And you don't want to place fear because I was scared to death of my mother and father. But I'd rather my kids not be scared of me, but respect me. Mm-hmm. See, you want to be respected. And sometimes you need to take disciplinary actions so that your children respect you and don't run all over you. Because I see some kids in the mall, I ain't going to even tell you what color they were. I'm going to tell you what happened, and you tell me what color they was. It was a lady,
Where were we? Were we in the grocery store? Remember when the little boy told his mom to bite him?
Yeah, we was in the, might have been in ShopRite or Stop and Shop.
We were in the grocery
and the boy, the mother said, "Hey, little Billy, stop making all that noise." And he looked at his mother and said, "Bite me, Mom."
And told her to shut up.
Shut up. Bite me. bite me, Mom? Bite me? If I would have said, bite me, Mom, to my mother, she would have bit me in my face. Bite me, Mom? So when you grow these kids up like that and they don't have no discipline, if they don't have no discipline in the home, when they get to the workforce, they won't know how to act. When they get to school, they don't know how to act. When they deal with anything in their grown years, they don't know how to act. So discipline is important, but how you discipline. You know, me and my wife, we had to come together. You know, are we gonna beat down kids? Cause she was disciplined physically, and my father. I feel like my mom and dad overdid it. I feel,
No, I don't think they overdid it.
They overdid it. I was one of the best kids you could ever want to raise.
Yeah, okay.
And I feel like they overdid it. I feel like they, one time my mother beat me, and then the next time, that same night, my father forgot that my mother beat me, so he came home and beat me again. And I think that's a lack of communication on that part. She already beat me for it, and then he gonna come home and then he beat me again.
It wasn't a lack of communication.
That's a lack of communication. No. She should have let him know, look, I already got him, but she was asleep, so he thinking he got to get me because she didn't get me. And I got 2 beatings in one night, and that's rough. That's rough on a kid. And then he found out the next day that he didn't really need to beat me, so he said, that's your beating for the next thing you do. My parents would beat me in advance. Shame on them. If they had that number, 1-800-CHILD ABUSE, Reverend Timothy Wright and Evangelist Belly Wright would be in jail. They'd be on electric chair. Because they would be, but they had to, I guess that's what they had to do with 5 boys to keep us in line. But I learned that I did not want to discipline my children the way I got disciplined. Although it worked, there was some damage there and some fearful things there that I don't want to pass down to my children. So you don't have to do it the way your parents did you. Adjust it to how you and your spouse want to do your children.
But what do you do when when they're just not getting it, when the children are not getting it, and you're trying different solutions and different ways to try to let a beating or a whipping, be the last resort? But when you have kids, I can only speak for our children. I don't know. I know I can only imagine what some parents deal with behavioral issues and different things that may come up on the child that will cause the child to react in the manner that they're acting in. And sometimes some parents that's like all they know. When they try the talking and the child, even in the communication and talking to the child is still disrespectful to the parents in the midst of the conversation. So what is counseling needed, or is it just that may be just their only resort is to just grabbing them and just doing what they need to do?
Well, you never know, and that's when you have to deal with different children. Different children may have different issues. What's that stuff? ADD. There was people that grew up with me that were autistic and didn't even know it. I
know when I was coming up and I was in grade school and stuff like that, and I was in classes with students that how it's like you would look up at them. It's like, what is wrong with them? Why are they acting like that? Or why is it so difficult? That's what I'm saying. So a lot of the students and the kids that we possibly could have gone to school with should have received some type of diagnosis, but at that time we didn't have the studies and all of the research and all of that stuff wasn't.
But some of these kids today, they try to get slick on you. They try to talk all kinds of ways, act like they autistic. All your kids ain't autistic. Some of y'all just disrespectful. You don't want to be disrespectful, because I remember no matter where we were, my mom gave my neighbors the right to beat us and the church folks.
Yeah.
Church members could beat you.
That's the
back in the day when I grew up.
Yeah. And whenever you were found doing anything that you shouldn't have been doing, and they knew who your parents were, you were getting checked on sight. Wherever you were, they didn't care. Absolutely. They'll beat you right there, and then they're going to take you. They're going to put you in their vehicle.
And take you to your parents.
Take you to your parents,
and then you get beat again. But for some reason.
But now you got people, these new generation mothers and these parents, you even look at their child the wrong way. They're coming on from a whole.
They don't want nobody touching their children. They don't want
nobody touching their kids. Don't look at them. Don't say nothing. Don't put your hands on them.
And look at where we are in society. Yeah. Because people let their children get away with so much stuff. You know, kids are so disrespectful today. So some of the stuff back in the day, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. It worked.
But you got parents saying, well, if they talk to you a certain way, you talk back to them that way. I don't care if it is an adult, but you have these mothers out there today. These new people,
that's what we call them.
Whatever they are. You got them out here today, and it's like they're telling their children. If a grown up, if they say talk to you crazy, you talk back to them how they talk to you. They give them the permission to do these things, or whatever the case may be. So,
but we can talk about this forever.
Right.
But if you're in that situation, you're trying to wonder how are we going to discipline our children? How are we going to chastise our children? You have to have a conversation, you and your wife, you and your spouse, you and your husband, on how we're going to deal with our children when it comes to discipline.
Yes.
And you have to come together with an agreement so the kids won't be confused, and then they won't play funny favorites. I'll go to mom because mom ain't going to beat me. I'll go to dad going to beat me. Come together and get it in your mind on how you're going to discipline your children so you won't have a problem with each other. Right. All right. So this has been another episode of Wedded Wednesdays, and we'll come back another time and continue this episode because we got a whole lot on this, whole lot. But we thank you for tuning in. You can follow us. Where they can follow us at?
You can follow us on Instagram at Wedded Wednesdays, also on Facebook, also at Wedded Wednesdays, and on our YouTube channel, which is at Wedded Wednesdays. We have changed the name from Red Skies to Wedded Wednesdays, so you could find us easier. We wanted to make sure that everyone that was looking could find us much easier. So we thank you again for joining in, for tuning in with us. And if you have any topics or anything that you would like for us to discuss on our show, please put it in the comments. We'll look forward to going over it and possibly sharing it on one of our episodes. So thank you again for joining us.
God bless you. Peace. We love you.